Welcome to Rewrite the Mother Code, the show where we can explore our inner mothers to actualize our greatest selves. Through interviews with incredible guests, live coaching sessions, and my own experiences, we're going to dive deep into embracing feminine values and reparenting ourselves. So be prepared to show up, hold space, and be mothered in a way that you never have before, but have always needed. It's time to rewrite the mother code. Hi, and welcome to this special episode, continuing episode that we've been doing this series with Elizabeth Turazon on Rewrite the Mother Code. So I'm super excited to continue to host Elizabeth in these conversations and kind of pop into her life and what's happening right now and what is now new motherhood. And what are you up against? What's bringing you joy? What's challenging you? And oftentimes when I'm working with new moms, it's like, let's definitely look at what are we celebrating? What do we need support with and challenge? And I'm looking forward to hearing what Elizabeth is working with and working on right now. And so we'll get to do that and explore that together. And if you're popping into this episode, please know that this is a series, and we've been having I've been having these conversations with Elizabeth since she was pregnant, right after giving birth, and in these weeks of new motherhood. And so there's this beautiful trajectory of her and, in the moment with these experiences as they're happening. So it's a real honor and privilege for me. And I hope all of you are finding great value in it and can see yourself, even though that might not be the experience you're having. There's so much to generalize with. So please go into this from that perspective. Enjoy. Well, here I am with our very own Elizabeth Turazon, mother of now, how old?
Oh my gosh, she's 10 weeks.
10 weeks to today, right?
Like yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah.
That's right. Yesterday.
Wow. Oh,
Uh,
like the fact that I had to think about that for a second is
means,
weird.
yeah,
Because
because
there's a lot of things I'm tracking. I'll tell you that. I'm tracking a lot. But
well, we get to hear about that. And I'm so grateful that you are continuing to show up here and we get to have these conversations that I personally have found, valuable, inspiring, moving, and just really getting a full picture of, a woman's journey, but your journey in this form of motherhood.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I've gotten so much value out of talking and feeling into the space. What is what
Yeah.
is this? What is this
What
world?
is this? What is this new world? And I got us recording because you were about to share, we're having a first. Everything is a first with the first,
Everything
right?
is a first.
Everything is a
So
first.
many.
They may not be your first time doing it, but all of these things are your first time doing everything, having a newborn, right?
Absolutely. Oh, and it's different. It's
Very different.
like even, a little bit earlier this morning I took a shower and there's, baby was pretty securely comfy napping, but there's a part of me I'm listening. My ears are attuned.
Yes.
Do I need to end the shower prematurely, or is it okay? Is she having a total emergency,
Yeah.
or not? Or is she just having a little fuss in her sleep and starting to discern and give, I don't know. It's I don't make her wait very long for anything, but I'm
Sure.
also not instantaneous all the time. I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm, yeah, there's a lot. So even the first shower where I wasn't actively listening the whole time, but I just was I got my radar on. I can settle into this experience, and I know I'm gonna hear her if she calls.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
No, it is. And you get to see I'm hearing, as I'm hearing you, I was like, wow, yeah, just it's consuming. And that's the job right now, right? Like, and the job for you and your development and in rewriting the mother code is to, like, just what you were saying, right? Discern and not just, you know, I don't know, a knee jerk
Right.
react like, oh, it's got to be this. Or, like just how quickly I'm thinking about like the messages coming like, oh my God, I'm a bad mother if I don't go hop out of this shower and go
I
get her. Right.
have,
Like, oh, there's a lot of like space in between. I'm a terrible mother for actually staying in the shower a little bit longer and finishing, or, just soaking wet, and
right.
here. And there's possibilities. How do I listen to myself? How do I listen to her? And I really heard you say that. Like, she has a voice, and every cry doesn't mean I need you immediately.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Oh, it's like learning that has
Yeah.
been very uh I don't know, unexpectedly delightful. Like, and I don't know, I there's a way in which, we've been growing together, she and I, on our
Sure.
parallel and intertwining and like wound up paths. And like there's a part of like I get it in my head, and I'm starting to get it in my heart too, that like the ultimate job is this, is the peeling
Right.
away. And gosh, I had a little, I will share a little bit about
Sure.
um how uh, let me set some context. We're about to go on baby's first week-long road trip. We are gonna, it's pretty like, yeah, I think it's structured enough and open enough that
Hmm.
we're gonna have plenty of, like, it's gonna be easy. I'm creating
Sure.
that. It's gonna be an easy time. And we're taking this road trip, me and the baby, my husband Ryan, and his parents are in the house, and we're all driving all together across the country for uh, my sister-in-law's wedding.
Oh.
So that's I like I'm sweating as I talk about it, like think about it. It's like, so there's a lot. That's already a lot.
That's all. Just hearing that, I'm like,
That's just
okay,
that.
breathe.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. That is a lot. And trust me, when we first got the invitation and the news about the date, I was like, oh, I was like, if this baby comes out perfectly healthy and she's feeling great and I'm feeling great, then okay. But if we're not, then I'll make the call. I'll make a call.
Hmm.
But as it turns out, we're all feeling great. And I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
and so Ryan's parents, my in-laws, have been in the house for a couple of days.
They're
And
staying, when
so
you say in the house, like they're
in our,
staying with
yeah,
you.
staying, yeah,
Okay.
staying with us for a couple of days. And so we had like a couple little mini adventures. Like she went to her first pumpkin patch. She slept the whole
Stop.
time, but it was just so cute.
Right.
To and it was also really painful for
Mm.
me. I was the only one experiencing this, I'm quite sure, because in my mind I'm like, okay, Ryan's parents live in California. Um, this is their first time meeting their first grandchild. And they have been over the moon, so excited. I've been so excited for them to like interact, and it's freaking delightful. It's so
Mm.
delightful to see them together. And like it was the day of the pumpkin patch that adventure. I went hours without holding the baby, feeding the baby, even really like touching, making eye contact with Lila Rose, and it nearly killed me.
I'm like almost crying.
It
Like,
I cried
oh,
so hard. I can't even tell you. It was I was so
wow.
surprised at how painful that was.
Wow.
And
Really?
I eventually came to, like, got to my heart about it and shared that with
Yeah.
Ryan, and oh man, it was like like all the scripts that have
Mm,
ever run my life came just like, do I even matter here? Like this, I could just pump
mm,
and like if people could give her bottles and that would be fine and like no big deal. Do I even need to be here? And boy, that was it's it feels hard to overstate how painful that was and how surprising it was that it was
yeah.
that painful.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well, just
yeah,
let yourself, that's beautiful. I
yeah.
mean,
Like
thank
I've
you for bringing
seen
this present. Yeah. Just keep letting yourself be with it.
I've seen people talk about, going back to work
Mm,
after baby and like mothers in
yeah.
particular talk about going back to work after baby or like going back to some part of routine or like daycare or just like anything where there's
Hmm.
a lot of separation as being so hard and I like didn't get it
Hmm.
until I had a taste this past weekend. I'm like, oh, this is like the part of my heart like outside my body. Like, wow, I didn't know how much I needed her too.
Mm,
And like, you know, how can I take care of myself so that I'm both in good shape for myself
yeah.
and when I'm with her and like also enough for us to be apart sometimes.
Yeah.
Like ah,
Well, it's
oh,
complex and it's so beautiful how you're breaking it down, Elizabeth. And I think there is this common like thought, like, oh, it's hard to first separate, but you're bringing it to, you know, like in people, like, yes, like first time dropping off a date, like those are big moments, right? But this was a micro moment, in a way, but you let yourself fully feel that micro moment. And interesting that like right before that you were saying like, oh, like my job is to peel away. And if you're listening to this, you can't see Elizabeth like take her hands and like separate them, like they're together and then separating. And it's actually giving me
mm,
goosebumps, to see the visual, of you doing that and like honoring those feelings, right? Honoring that pain of separation and taking note of it and valuing it. And, as this moment where we're taking a first step, right? Like we're taking the step. She's been a part of you physically, for I don't know how many months, like the pregnancy and now like
mhm.
these months, right? And
Yeah.
she's been intimate, like, and like right next to you, close to you. There have been moments where she's like with someone else, but this was this first big chunk of time. Um, and that you kind of went to like, she doesn't need me, like, right? So there's that awareness, like, oh my gosh, am I just like a milk machine?
Just a
Like,
milk
what?
factory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, what is my purpose here? If she's fine without me, like, what? Like, she can be with other people than me. But I think grappling with
Yeah.
that.
Hearing you say that, I'm like, how am I going to let her have friends? Like,
No,
oh my
but
God.
it's okay, right? Like I don't think, as you're bringing this to light, I don't think, we as, mothers of children or women or wherever we're separating from something that matters to us, give ourselves this space
Mm.
to, you know, honor it as a moment in time that is at one time like just gut wrenchingly painful and also wondrous, right? Like when we can let ourselves see that side, like, wow,
I know.
she can do this. Like, how amazing. Like
Yeah,
what? Yeah.
like even like the physical developmental milestones that we're both I'm now realizing I'm both looking forward to and also like dreading,
Mm.
is like she doesn't roll yet, but she's gonna.
Yep.
She can kind of rotate and she can kind of scoot a tiny, tiny bit, but like when she's mobile, like really crawling, really walking, where what like, and especially
Right.
I get it in my mind, like it's good for her and for me and for the world for her to develop this sense
Mm.
of like I am a person. I can operate under my own power, my own will. I can go where I please. I can do what I choose. I am an independent. I'm growing in my capacity to be an independent person. Like that is so great. That is what I want. That's the kind of person that I want to be. Is the kind of person that I want to bring, like
Mm-hmm.
increasingly to the world, in myself and in her and in anyone, honestly, that I encounter. And like this is just so particular of a relationship. Like we've been here. We've
Yeah.
been here all the way bound up, and like celebrating her growing independence. Like
Mm.
I know I will. And like you said, I'm really glad to have the emotional facility to recognize like, dang, this is
This is
scary
hard.
and
It's
painful.
scary and hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think just what you just described so beautifully of like that's, you know, successful mothering is that she's going to have, this wonderful
I'm
independent
so
life. But it
excited.
doesn't mean you don't have feelings about it. And I think we may not realize that honoring this pain first and the like, wait, and even, hurt and anger, like, well, what use am I anyway, or kind of doubt that. So we can celebrate this milestone with her, and for her, that I think we're able to celebrate it more authentically when we've acknowledged the pain and hurt and all the feeling, sadness, right? To really feel the joy of the celebration for her, for both of you.
Yep. 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 Yeah. All it is really all encompassing, that experience. Oh man. My mind is
Yeah, keep going wherever it's your
bopping.
mind, heart. Yeah.
I want to share one win. I told you about this a little bit in a different conversation, but something that you alluded to, like the mom guilt
Hmm.
of like, oh, am I doing enough? Is this like, have I gotten to her fast enough? Am I meeting her
Yeah.
needs? And like, what if I'm not? And she's like, there's a thousand things that she's probably not aware of at all, that I can make a lot of meaning out of. And um I was starting to go into that space
Hmm.
with my husband Ryan, and what we turned it into was like a whole play about how I'm the worst mother ever, and here's
Hmm.
all the evidence of
Oh God.
why this is
Yeah.
like I am terrible and I deserve to be thrashed and like
Hmm.
should not be part of humanity anymore. And like it was just, we went to the edge of the drama,
Yes.
as far as we could take it, and it was like it was so freeing to just like
Hmm.
laugh a little at not to make light of of again, like I could really cause myself some pain,
Yeah.
like for real. um but like I don't have to, and so the more that I find that we can like bring some levity to especially some of the really hard stuff, things that
Hmm.
would be hard if I were doing it alone. swirling down the toilet of my negative thought cycles. Like the more we can bring some lightness
Absolutely.
there, the more not just tolerable but pleasant it can
Well,
be.
I want to underline that, Elizabeth, because I really, name it as a potential practice. First of all, as you're saying, like, how do we bring some levity to what feels so real in the moment, right? Like it was
Oh
real. Like
yeah.
I'm a terrible, like,
Oh yeah.
I just can,
I did
and
this.
to
I
like write the
forgot this
list, right?
thing. I
Like,
didn't. Yeah.
yeah,
Any,
all the
every,
things.
all the things I did do, all the things I didn't do, all the things I should have done, could have done. Um,
Yes. And
like
that we
if I
could
were
go,
better. Oh my God.
that can just like
It's,
snowball into like this huge avalanche. But by kind of taking it out of your head and that swirl and like making the list, like after a while, and I think you said you did this alongside or with Ryan or, with
mm-hmm,
your partner, um, where after a while it just gets ridiculous, right? Like you can get just in doing that, like, well, I'm just going to make this list. But there's only so far you can go where you're like, okay, really? Like this is kind of ludicrous, like that I, could come to this conclusion that I'm a terrible mother and allowing that humor that I think is so important, some distance and, humor with it. Like, yeah, could we always do something better? Are there other options? Like if I'm really worried about something, I can explore it. We're not saying, that there might be something you think like, oh, I think I could do that better, or I'm going
mm-hmm.
to, well, it's something I
Right.
think you've talked about in other episodes. Like we're doing this for the first time. We're learning, right? Like just that self-talk,
Yay.
like we're yay.
Learning.
And I would do that. We'll do that differently next time because that time didn't go so well, right? But I think these are all like mechanisms, and I just really want to, well, one, honor that this is the process that you're in, and that you're doing this is just wonderful. But I want to share it with everyone. Like these are things other anyone listening can do themselves,
Yep.
whether it's about directly, being with a newborn. Not This is everywhere in our life, where we feel like
100%.
I don't do it good enough. I don't do it well enough. Like, okay, well, let me make the list of how terrible I am and, and
And
see
yeah.
where that takes you. Hi, I'm so excited to share with you my 2024 Spring Equinox Self-Mothering Retreat that's happening this March 2024. And I would love for you not only to consider it, but to attend. But in considering it, hey, just knowing that you would be leaving cold weather if that's the space that you're in and coming down to just magnificently beautiful, warm, nourishing place of Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Zihuatanejo meaning land of the goddess women, and coming to really take time for yourself. Okay. And that I am learning more and more isn't just a nice thing to do or something extravagant or something selfish. It's essential. And I really want you to take it seriously, to consider, just think about what would it take for me to go. It's a 5.5-day retreat, getting from where you are, getting there, landing there, and then being in a space that is all about you. It's all about nourishing you. It's all about tuning into you, using everything around us, the nature, the food, the beautiful people, the rituals, ceremonies. I bring it, we really bring it. And we go deeper and deeper as the days go on, and we release, we let go, we bring in what is nourishing, what is empowering, what is that space of just really divine feminine energy. And we do it in the community of women. It's not for everyone. I will be honest, if the idea of leaving and not making it work or it's just too hard, not for you. If the idea of, spending that amount of time inwardly focused and going to that level of self-awareness doesn't sound like something you're willing to do or put the time and energy into, then it's not for you. And it's good to know that, right? So this is for people who are serious about what it means to mother themselves, what it means to take time for ourselves and that gift and what that gift can bring to us. It was originally right after my fall retreat. It filled right up. But now some people, it turns out, are not able to come. So I do have a handful of openings. And if you're listening to this and you're willing to take that step, please reach out to me. We can do a discovery call, or you can put a deposit down. I would love that. And you can do that by going to my website, www.drgertrudelyons, DrGertrudelyons.com. Go to events, and there you go. It'll all be there. There's a beautiful page there for you to explore. I look forward to hearing from you and then seeing you on my spring retreat.
Oh my gosh. The button that we decided to put on it was that, like, once I decided I had unburdened myself enough onto this list of travesties,
Yes.
then Ryan pretending to be like the torture chamber like attendant was like, well, I see your list here, but you know what? It's just too bad we're not going to be able to take you today because we don't accept divine blessings to be tortured. So
Oh, I like well up and like get goosebumps with.
Oh, it was like, so I was surprised because it was such a fun thing, and I was surprised at how sweet it was to hear, even though we made up the script, like, but it's like, okay, yeah, all right, I can stop torturing myself privately, then giving myself permission to like be okay with whatever I did or didn't do. Man, I'll need to keep practicing that.
I don't think that's a one and done time. Like
frequent.
I would love to say we get to do that once, and those thoughts will never, they'll never pop in again. Nope, we get to, just keep bringing ourselves back and find a myriad of ways to. Well, I know you and I have talked a lot about this, and Jill Bolte Taylor's 4 characters, right? Like, yep. And yes, in June of 2022, I have a podcast. If you want to find more out about Jill Bolte Taylor, just saying, because we're not going to spend our time like totally going into it, but these different parts of our brain, right? And, those are character 2, as she describes them, but there are left emotional, our memories that have gotten us to a place in our wiring that has us sometimes believe that, or think, in some weird protective way, that telling myself I'm a terrible person is somehow good for me.
Right.
And that, but come to find out, and this is what I love about her work, is it's not about getting rid of that voice. It's just knowing there are other voices available, so you two brought in character 3, let's play with this, right? Yeah. What's the data? Okay, we'll be like, let's gather data on this, and then, but we'll be playful with it. And then character 4 was like, oh, sorry, you're a divine being, and we don't send divine beings to the torture chamber. So the way you wove all those together, or just seeing it maybe from this perspective, that we're just being gentle with our character 2. We're just, she, does have fears, and those fears aren't to be just shut down or, yelled at, they're to be, calmed and tended to and reminded that you're not a terrible person.
Yeah. Gosh. Thank God. I think I have these like flashes ahead, little mini visions of like when our sweet babe is, as she keeps gaining new skills and like learning and growing and trying things and failing at them, frankly, not being able to do what she wants yet, and like the frustration of that, and like I get to help her start to build her voice of like, gosh, isn't it hard when this doesn't work out exactly the way you wanted, and like, and isn't it okay to be upset about it, and also isn't it nice to know that you're okay still and be reminded if you forget,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to try again. Like I just, it's that's the kind of, as I'm seeing myself, like, so excited to share that message. It's like, of course, that message is for me.
Well, that's this, you're sharing the message already so beautifully by, you know, doing modeling, that these doubts will come up for her too. She'll get frustrated. She'll have a hard time. She'll be in pain. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
we have lots of tools or like lots of ways to deal with that and be with that. And that's what I'm showing you, little one. Look
Mm-hmm.
what we just did.
Yeah. Mm.
Mhm.
Oh man. Like right now, like in my sense of myself, I feel, or I imagine myself like worlds away from the like weeping, sobbing, painful, like mess, like just hating everything about my experience. And like, but they're not, they belong together.
Yeah.
I like, oh gosh, I feel really sweet and tender toward myself right now.
Mm. Mm.
Oh my God. Mm. Mm. And I get to play this out again and again.
So many opportunities she's going to give you to strengthen this muscle, right? Strengthen the muscle to keep bringing myself back to myself, right? And not the unreality of the voices that are trying to, at one time those voices did protect us. They had a purpose. They just don't anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am rewiring that programming.
Blessings, blessings on blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, that's the real heart of what I wanted to bring
Yeah.
today. That's been like very alive for me.
Yeah.
So, mm. Oh my gosh, and we get to anticipate and go on this like adventure.
I know. I wanted to hear a little more about how you're envisioning this and,
Oh
how
yeah.
you're taking care of yourself as you prepare. Because I'm sure we'll have an episode post uh adventure at some point. So
Yes, yes. So my vision is yeah, it's kind of, it really is like visual. So it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to
I'll
describe.
try and put that. Yeah.
But yeah, like my vision is that we're essentially gonna have like a adventure after adventure. And what that means to me is like there's like stages of like getting ourselves ready, making sure we have everything that we need so that we can be like safe and secure on our adventure, enough safe and secure so that when we experience something new, we can, you know, be as comfortable as we decide to be.
Yeah.
And that's like that's coming all the way from like we're literally going to load up the car, like with the things that we think we're going to need and want from home. And
Mhm.
have we overpacked? I don't know. Like,
Who cares?
I
Right.
don't care. It'll
Right.
fit. Everything will fit.
Mhm.
And you know, I have like a plan in my mind, but I'm trying to hold as flexibly as I can, but a plan in my mind about how much I will feed the baby from my body, how much I will pump, how much there will be bottle feedings, and especially as we're like driving and taking
Yeah.
breaks and as we arrive and like prepare for this like wedding day, like there's going to be a couple days where we really don't have very, we're not going to be like doing too much. So we can kind of like resettle, and like maybe we'll have other mini adventures, like, oh, we're gonna go to the store in a brand new place. That's an adventure for the parents.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, let's see about this or that, and we're gonna this baby is Lila Rose is really, as a newborn at least, she is great at parties. I'll tell you that. She is great at parties. She loves being worn, like
Oh.
close. Usually it's Ryan wearing her. She often naps. She's just like snoozing happily at the party. Sometimes she'll like lay out, and snooze laying
Mhm.
down. And anyway, and then when she wakes up, she loves people. She loves people right now.
Oh.
And she has gotten her first round of vaccinations. So I'm like, okay, I will, I have in my mind like people who are not her, like it's going to be a small party anyway. It's like
Mhm.
not a huge, gigantic reception. And, you know, my intention is to limit, you know, not everyone's going to literally handle the baby. Not everyone's going to literally, like, no one gets to kiss the baby except for the
No
people
baby kissing.
who
Yep.
we're spending time. Like, she hasn't gotten her RSV like
Mm.
vaccine yet or whatever. So anyway, I I have a loose plan of when we're gonna need to do laundry. Like, um, how, yeah, there's all kinds of like
Sure.
that's character one.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. But that's character one's purpose is to
oh
create
yeah,
safety through like, the external, the
the
logistics,
plan.
having a semblance of a plan. And that for sure creates safety. So, I think lays some of the good groundwork, as you said,
Hmm.
for the surprises that come,
Yeah.
not like how we're going to be. And that's, I don't know if that's something that you've, you
Mm.
know, where you're including that in the vision, but we can do that now.
Yeah.
Around like, okay, so we got some good plans, we have some things laid
Mhm.
out. Um,
Yeah.
what's our being look like in this adventure?
I the vision I have for at least for myself is an experience of delight and wonder of like when my character two comes in, is like, this isn't working. That something is wrong.
The plan has
I
failed.
the plan
You
has
didn't do laundry when you
failed.
said you were going to.
And now we're out of this kind of clothing. Anyway, the I'm sure that's gonna happen. So um yeah, like being in, or even if I don't automatically like jump to like, wow, isn't that interesting and neat and cool and fun and
Mm-hmm.
wonderful, I'd like to take myself there
Yeah.
of like, well, hey, wasn't I upset about that a second ago? And like, aren't we still just wonderful
Mm.
in this, you know, on this adventure? Aren't we having a great time? And like I say we, I mean me, I mean anyone I'm with, like,
Yeah.
isn't this fun? Like, oh,
Like all of it, right? All of it is the adventure. The things that work just as planned. Like this is,
I go, hey, my plan's
look at my
working.
cool
I'm
plan
very
working, right?
satisfied with myself.
Exactly. I'm like, look at us like planning and having the things we need. Like, way to go, us. To like, oh, we don't have that thing, or oh, we ran out of that. Like, well, look at that. Like, wow, okay, make note for next time.
Yep. Yep. Oh my
Ooh,
gosh.
didn't expect that.
This
Oh, wow.
this very thing happened
Mm.
about our first picnic out of the house that I talked about on a
Mm-hmm.
previous
Mm-hmm.
episode of like, we're like, it was the simple act of like, what things do we need in the diaper bag?
Yeah.
And like, it was just the one bag we were packing, right? Just the one. And there were still like three things that were like, wow, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I wish we had thought ahead to pack. You know what? We know it for next time.
We'll put
Great.
that in next time.
On the list. So,
Meanwhile, I think we'll actually be okay, even if we didn't have that.
and we
But it'll be helpful
were.
to have these things.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, I love it. I
Yep.
love it. And
Yeah.
but these are the things, and I think, I don't want to minimize like just the way you're kind of thinking through, this, because this mindset, because a trip like this, could be a quote unquote disaster, right? Like
Sure.
it's,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
but
totally.
that'd be so much about like what we create, not because you didn't plan well enough. It's,
Right.
this everything you've been doing leading up to this from your emotional well-being is allowing you to like roll with the challenges, right? Like of course it's not if, there's going to be, well, and we haven't even talked about the
Yeah.
fact your in-laws are in the car and with you the whole time, right? Like
Right.
that,
Yeah.
even the most wonderful people,
They are
but when they're
wonderful.
our family, there's bound to be stuff,
Yep.
that like if it were my friend, it wouldn't bother me, but it's my mother-in-law or, for Ryan, my mother or father are going to drive me crazy. Right. Like, so even anticipating some of them, what's our plan,
Yep.
when what are some of the known triggers, right? Like and sometimes we'll do that when we're on trips, with family, let's let's like we'll play
It's
games with
almost
it.
like
Like, let's take a bet. Like, how many times do you think this is going to happen? Right. Or
oh my
like,
gosh. Oh man.
rather than let them like, those behaviors just ruin my time because of how they're being, they're just being themselves. And that just happens to like hit me in certain
Oh, totally.
places for whatever projection transference I have going on. Right. But I have lots of ways that I can tend to myself, in that. And some of it, again, is that humor, making light of it, kind of planning ahead, for some of, known
Yeah.
relationship, you know,
Like
triggers,
friction or yeah,
friction. Yeah.
like character one helping out character three.
Yes.
Okay. We can have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And some of that might be setting, like I know, I mean, I know you and Ryan enough to know this is something you're looking at your vision for yourself. He's looking at his, you're working on it together. But then, what about including, you know,
hmm.
his parents? Like, so you don't get mad at them for thwarting your vision when they didn't even know you had one, right? And sometimes we don't think about that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
oh,
a great point.
they might want to be a part of it, right? And actually like look at what this trip means for them or what they're afraid of or what they're,
Oh, I
you
love
know,
that.
doing that. So we're not just like, okay, how are we going to deal with them? Like, gosh, we could all be in this grand adventure together.
Wow. Oh, yeah. And aren't we? And
Yeah.
aren't we?
I mean, we're going to be because you're
Wow. Yeah.
going to be in this car. So you're in Chicago and you're driving to where?
DC
To DC. Yeah. So what is that? Like a 10, 12-hour drive?
12.
12-hour drive, right?
Mhm.
Um,
You're
yeah. So
stopping in the
that's
middle in Ohio.
great. It's to stay the night.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
splitting it up. That's great. Yeah. But, there's so much to happen. And then you're going to a wedding with family, right? So then we have the
Mhm.
time there. It's,
Oh, it's going to be a trip. I look forward to downloading with you after.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that's funny that I look forward to, I don't know, being with is I had been thinking to myself, like, oh, this is Ryan's family.
Mm.
And so Ryan's gonna have the I don't know, like the lion's share of like the like what is happening with me and my family like
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And I think that is still probably true, but even in these last few days, I'm like, wow, my stuff is sure coming up.
Mhm.
So okay, I don't know why I didn't think that I was gonna deal with that at all,
Yeah.
but
Like somehow
I
I
will.
was Yeah,
Like, oh, this
I
is
would.
Ryan's family.
Yeah,
It's
like
not
what?
someone.
Yeah, easy peasy for me. Now, do you have a little bit of outside perspective that can have a little more distance and, support him if he likes or whatever? Like that's true.
I think
But
so. And
but not, and yes, and I
I'm
have my
still
own
in it.
relationship
I'm
with
in the
them.
system. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the system. And I think that, and just seeing this as a grand experiment of the family system in this moment in time, being together.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the opportunity to create a wondrous, magical, like wow experience or a disaster, right? And
Totally.
that's all within our, because even if like so many things go wrong, that doesn't take away from the wonder, the
Right.
that
Right.
those things that happen and things that we didn't plan for aren't what
Sure.
determine disaster.
Right.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, like no matter what story we end up telling about this trip later, like it's like and it will become I don't know, it'll be important. It'll have been important in the legends of our family
Mm-hmm.
like together and at least it's special to me already.
Yeah.
So,
And what's the story I'm writing about
mhm.
this, now? And what will we make of it after? What will we, like there's, and it's a big thing that then we can translate into our day to day, right? Like this is takes me back to you having that moment, with them. I mean, and that was, with this foursome, right, at the pumpkin patch,
Right.
where you had this first like stabbing pain of separation, right? So
Yeah.
giving yourself space for whatever those
Whatever
feelings
comes
are that
up.
are going to come up. But that was a nice, warm up, I guess, for it.
It's crazy to think that that was a warm up, but it totally was.
Yeah.
It felt like I mean, it was the epitome. It was the peak of the pain I had yet felt.
Yeah.
And I'm not done.
No, there'll be more new experiences, and next level experiences that this trip. And I love that you are all doing it. I love that, you're doing what
Yeah.
you need to create safety for yourself, with a newborn to
Hmm.
make this trip happen and not just like either, nope, sorry, not gonna go for it. But as you said, you gave yourself that permission. Like if we weren't up for it, if I wasn't, you know, feeling like this was like a good time to do this, or the things weren't in place that were going to give
Hmm.
me the security, then I gave myself full permission to not. And that would have been
Yeah.
beautiful too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like just want to
Yeah.
be with the sense of choices and trusting ourselves and
Mhm.
tuning in and, following that aspect as opposed to either just our fear or what the world tells us we should do or how we should do this and what we should do. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
there's plenty of messages out there we could listen to if we chose to.
Yes,
I
there are. There are.
love it. Well, this is a beautiful space to be in, Elizabeth. And I'll end us pretty soon, but is there anything else that's kind of happening, in there that you just want to name before we
Hmm.
sign off and um, look
Yeah.
forward to.
I think the last thing I'll just kind of mention is that on kind of like the warm up that we had for this trip, which was like we did our first overnight away. Um, like Ryan and I got into some conflict about our just how we saw things differently. And like that when I say things, I mean like how do we handle this situation? Like, and we have very different opinions about like
Mhm.
what we want and and like it's not totally resolved, and
Mhm.
like, and it's okay because I think it's okay. Like we've talked about it. We know where we stand,
Mhm.
we ourselves and the other person, and like I'm committed to partnering with him, and we're gonna it won't be the first, it won't be the last time that
No.
we have that either, which is its own
Yeah.
kind of pain of like not being on the same page about something. And I'm sure that's going to come up too, with this, like with like our family, as we kind of peel ourselves away as parents
Mhm.
from our, like what we've known, what we've imagined, what like our family system and that we came from, and like we're going like, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to approach new situations like
Yeah.
this or like that? And or some third way that we had never ever imagined. And that's we've had the beginnings of that budding.
Nice.
So,
Oh, I love that. Well, and what's coming up for me as you're talking about that, Elizabeth, is like this opportunity for us to know each other more deeply, right? And that can be messy as we're exploring it. Like it
yes.
just kind of sometimes wish like, oh, it would be just nicer and easier if we just agreed on every parenting, decision and choice. And we're just, so perfectly aligned. Well, I don't know. Maybe that would be nice. It could also be very boring. So if we at least see it as opportunities to, explore, practice our hearing of each other and being with the feelings that come up about his position or, his thought on it, versus, my thought. And this doesn't have to be about winning, but the vulnerability of staying open to all the possibilities and just keep engaging, I think was the other word that was
Hmm.
coming up for me. Is like, oh, that was uncomfortable. So let's just not,
Let's just never
hopefully
talk
that'll just
about
go
that
away.
again.
Right.
Yeah. Probably not.
And that's not the way I'm going to propose, going forward with those kinds of things, but like
Hmm.
to kind of stay in it and keep, like you said, the situations are going to keep coming up. So, the more we stay engaged in it, the more we can learn and grow together
Yep. Yep.
and be with that. All right. So, well, I guess we'll wrap for now,
We'll
even
wrap
though
for
these are always
now.
the hardest to end because there's such good, rich stuff. Well, I'm continuously inspired and honored and blessed to be on and get to share you and this journey and these conversations with others. And I know that they've been having an impact. So thank you for your vulnerability, your willingness, your openness, and going to
Till next time.
absolutely wish you well
Thank
on
you.
the
Thank you.
trip,
Thank you.
the
Yay.
adventure, right? Oh my God, all of it. I love it.
All
All right.
right.
Well, till next time we talk,
Till
blessings.
next.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here we are. Just had our conversation, this particular conversation with Elizabeth. So many juicy nuggets to pull from this one. But I think a couple highlights, and I just want to underline, you know, taking notice of inflection points, our pain points in mothering. And, we can speak generally about the pain of separation that comes with mothering. And I don't think we talk enough about, how that is the job when we're mothering is to bring something into life and then give it its own life and prepare it as best you know how, and give it the nutrients and everything that it needs so that um, it can go and live its life on its own. And so it's a constant job of separating. But even if we know that that's our job, to give ourselves the space and the space and awareness that we're having feelings about it, even though we know, valiantly, even if we know that that's our job, doesn't mean there isn't going to be pain because we care so much. And, these stages can bring everything from, pain, fear, hurt, and sadness, the loss of something pleasurable. That means a new phase is here. We're moving into a next phase, and that one is gone forever. And they're more and more becoming that independent being that we want them to be. And I have feelings about it, and even some anger. Like, what do you mean? Like, you can live on your own? Like, how's that? And this fear of like a loss of sense of purpose and mattering in it. And how do I keep holding my own mattering if this being can live independently from me, and that my mattering isn't tied to them needing me so much? So I think that was so beautifully highlighted. And then how to plan and prepare for adventures, and just continually holding that everything you're doing with a newborn is the first time, that you're having it. And even if you have children after that, it'll be the first time you're having it with two children or whatever. But, acknowledging these, planning, allowing for all of our Jill Bolte Taylor characters or ways of dealing with situations really are possible, in these. And we get to determine if a new adventure, and for her, it's this trip that they're taking is going to be a disaster or a just wild, cool adventure that no matter what, I'm going to learn and grow from. So we get to do that, in our lives in all the ways that we're, how we go about our day. I don't think there's any such thing as a good day, bad day. It's just, how am I being with it? Right. And what happens. So wishing you just a blessed time, and in your own world of mothering, and hoping that all of this, I'd love to, anytime you want to drop me a line and let me know how this is resonating with you. What are you getting? What's making a difference to you? So please always feel free to DM me on Instagram at Dr. Gertrude Lyons, DrGertrudelyons, or connect with me via my website, which is drgertrudelyons.com, and sign up for my newsletter to find out, be on my mailing list for all the upcoming events, touching base, some of my thoughts on different things that are happening, and us just being able to continue and be in relationship, in community with each other, because it's so, so important. So thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time. Thank you so much for choosing yourself and taking the time to listen to this podcast. As always, please rate, review, and subscribe to Rewrite the Mother Code. It helps other people who need this message, aka all women, well, actually everybody, men included, to find it. I'm honored to have you on this journey in mothering yourself. Remember, change is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful, and it starts with us. And if you can't wait until next week's episode, follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Dr. Gertrude Lyons, or at my website, drgertrudelyons.com, and sign up for my newsletter. I'll see you next time.